let's just go really quick through some of the financial packet. We call it a packet, right? And in the packet, you got your deck. Deck's going to tell a story. It's going to be the guide, typically 20 pages. Later stage company, I've seen like 60-page decks, pre-public companies. And then sometimes you have subcommittees that might have a 20-page deck. The comp committee, the accounting. I was thrown on some accounting committee before a company was about to go public. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. Like, yeah, that's why we want you there. I just want to backstop. And I'm like, okay, sure. And like, okay, I'll go to the accounting committee to ask the dumb questions, which actually was great for me. I was super qualified to ask the dumb questions in that case. But in a startup, you get the 20-page deck. You're going to have the minutes from the last meeting to approve. Minutes, we have discussions about that with Wilson Sonsini, thisweekinstartups.com/basics. That's just what happened at the last meeting. Tends to be one page, very high level these days, a couple of bullet points. Then you have any actions you have to take, which typically is giving stock grants. But a big part of the package is the financial package. This is where you get to shine, Scott. What should be, let's go with our seed stage company again. They raised $3 million. They're making $1 million. They got 10 employees. What should be in the financial package?
Yeah. And if I may, I'd like to advocate for early in the presentation, you have like the financial flash page, which basically shows cash, average burn, length of runway, and any kind of like revenue run rate or lighthouse clients you sold, something like that. Because the reason why I like to put it early is maybe first page, second page, something like that is I find a lot of board members like you are used to going to a board meeting and being surprised by bad news. And so you're kind of sitting there sometimes like waiting for the shoe to drop. And if the founder can get that financial flash page in front of you and kind of quell those fears immediately, like your brain isn't negatively processing, your brain's positively processing. Oh, great. Plenty of cash, plenty of runway. Or, hey, shoot, this looks like a problem here. Not enough cash, not enough runway. We're going to have to really focus on dealing with that, right? So I like to get it up front.
Love the financial snapshot. When somebody does that, I think this person knows they're reading the minds of the board members who are wondering, when are we cash out? When are we cash out?
Yes.
And are we going to be able to raise this next round? Are we spending too much money? Is this plan credible? So you're basically saying like, listen, hey, I always like to use for the financial data, the dashboard of a plane. Okay. You're the pilot. You got a co-pilot in Kruze, you got another co-pilot navigator, Wilson Sonsini. You got your crew up there. You may have a co-founder in the cockpit. Okay. What's our altitude? What's our speed? How much fuel's in the tanks? Can we land this plane? Are we safe here? Weather report, other things are going to happen, but just some basic metrics. Cash burn, cash balance divided by average burn equals months left. We as investors, we do this in our heads all the time. Yeah. Okay, you're burning 100 a month. You got 18. You got 1.8 million in the bank. Okay, you got 18 months of runway. Oh, wait, you have 200,000 in payables. Okay, you got 16 months of runway. Oh, you got a settlement. Oh, you got this, 400,000 of that's a loan from Stripe for some, against receivables. Okay, what do we really got? Right. And then this is, again, back to bad news, back to perception that you're not being candid. Just be candid.
Yeah.
If you have investors, they've seen this movie before. You don't need to tell them that the second act is going to be chaos. We know that.
There's actually a name for it. The OSHIT board meeting. Every VC knows that board meeting. That's usually right after you invested in the company. Is the OSHIT board meeting because you get surprised by something that wasn't disclosed in diligence.
All right. So we got the financial snapshot. You like putting that up front. Get your cash, get your burn, runway, revenue, lighthouse clients. Yeah, a little snapshot. And what are the more formal things that the investors like to see and why?
They like to see all three financial statements. And I would put that towards the back of the presentation because you got to remember your board is going to be made up of like a diverse set of people. You're usually going to have like one super financially oriented person. And you might have one person who's like super strategic or a super salesperson. There's going to be a mix. So put that.
You might have a product person. You might have a culture person. Yeah, there's different people. Yeah, different archetypes.
So you want to kind of, in your general board packet, you want to speak to all those different people at different times, really. But the financially oriented person is going to know, usually it's going to be in the back and they're going to be looking through the details and making sure everything adds up on the balance sheet and The income statement looks good. And then the other thing is variance. If this is another way of building credibility with your investors, if you show what your plan said you were going to do and what your actuals, another way of saying this is budget versus actuals, especially for the quarter, last year to date, things like that. That's another way of building credibility. Take your medicine if you're above what you said you're going to spend. Get in front of that. Tell them why. Explain it. Maybe the business is actually kicking butt and you decided to hit the accelerator a little bit. Obviously, they should probably know that. They should have agreed to that. But that's, you really can, they will trust you with their cash and their LP's cash if they see budget versus actuals every month, because it's just, or every quarter. It's so powerful to know how the company's actually doing versus what they told you they were going to do.
And this is where making a plan separates founders who are winging it versus founders who are thoughtful. You could wing it. Like you could be a jazz musician, no sheet music. You're a savant. You just play the guitar. You're playing the drums, piano. We just all kind of groove. We have a jam session. Okay, that's great. That's groovy. But when you're going to put the album down, you're going to need the sheet music. You're going to need the track list. You're going to try to do something more formal. So sometimes in year one, yeah, you're riffing. You're trying to find product market fit. Fine. But once you have product market fit to some degree, and you got those first 10 customers, you're hiring a sales team, you're going to say, okay, we want to add this many customers. Okay, to add that many customers, we need to have this many meetings, and we have to have this many meetings convert into second meetings, converting into a sale, and then you build a pipeline, and then you have a plan, and then you staff the plan. And now, okay, the whole credibility and the nature of the startup goes from, we're taking this boat out on little runs, we're going around the bay, we're just trying to see if the boat is good and how the sales work, get a feel for the boat. And it's like, okay, now we're taking the boat to the new world. What's the provisions downstairs and who do we need to have on here? And do we have lemons? Because I don't want to get scurvy out there.
Yes.
How much fresh water do we have? Do we have flares? You want to have a real thoughtful plan to get to the new world. Yeah.
And if I may, it also sets the example for in your analogy, the crew. The rest of the management team is watching how you communicate with the board. Oftentimes, they'll come into the board meeting and present their section, maybe the VP of sales or the VP of product or head of engineering. But them knowing that you are accountable to the board on financial matters will help you make them accountable to you and the rest of the company. There's nothing worse than like a rogue VP who's spending too much money or doing weird stuff. If you set the culture on your journey to the new world and say like, look, we're going to eat a certain number of lemons every day and we're not going to go above that, that really actually permeates the culture of the startup. Is very, very healthy. It helps you get to that next spot.
Yeah. And, it also keeps somebody from going downstairs, taking all the lemons and making a bucket of lemonade and drinking it on the first day. And you're like, no, that's not what the lemons are for. We're supposed to put like a wedge in every day. And it's supposed to be enough wedges for the 20-person crew.